Hello, welcome to another episode of Somewhere Between a TV and Film podcast. We are your hosts. I am Daniel Para,
I am Erwin Trejo.
and I'm really excited to talk about the film we're talking about this week. It is the final entry in the Daniel Craig James Bond franchise, No Time to Die. I'm going to go ahead and preface by saying we'll do this. If you haven't listened to the first episode, what we did was we'll have a spoiler free section and a spoiler filled section. And the way we do this is basically the way friends talk about movies. Think about you're walking out the theater and you want to talk to your friend about what you just saw. You'll get a little off topic, perhaps, but I want to go ahead by asking Erwin, what are your overall thoughts just on the Daniel Craig franchise in general, starting with Casino Royale up to now?
Well, I thought with just even the first film that it was just different, which like especially coming from like a whole franchise where a lot of the movies themselves were kind of like familiar and like the same. And so whenever Daniel Craig came along, and not just him, but like just other directors and writers, like they just brought something like totally different, which made it more just uh interesting to watch and just to see it grow from like how Daniel Craig took that role to now is like something amazing.
So I'll agree with you. Actually, we went through the first four before we went to go see No Time to Die, and a quick summation of my thoughts are Casino Royale, I think, is basically perfect. I love that movie a lot.
Me too. I love that movie.
Quantum of Solace, I actually saw for the first time a few days ago because everyone kept saying, no, it's horrible. Don't watch that. Just ignore it. Which I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to watch it eventually. And I figured,
Why,
no.
if the movies themselves ignore it, why can't we?
Well, they don't actually, which is what I was surprised by. And I am getting over a cough at the moment. I'm sorry. But Quantum of Solace, I thought it was decent. It's not a James Bond movie. It's a Jason Bourne movie, which I think is the core problem with it. It adopts the more all over the place kind of action rapid cut editing, which is sort of reflective of the nature of how James Bond is in that movie. But I don't think it translates extremely well because there was a whole problem with the Writers Guild strike at the time and a lot of the stuff that involved that back in 2007, 2008. And it's not reflective of Daniel Craig's series as a whole. I thought it had some interesting ideas in it, but overall, I thought it was kind of passable. Skyfall, oh my god, is yet another one of the.
It's definitely like arguable when it comes to like between Casino and Skyfall.
Yeah.
Obviously, I love Casino Royale. I think I don't know. I don't know. I always say I don't know if I love Casino Royale more or Skyfall more. Like, I feel like they're definitely on par of like quality, but like I think it's just I don't know. Now I'm
So
undecided again.
I adore Skyfall. I think like Skyfall, I kept saying was my favorite Bond movie for a very long time. I think Casino Royale is perfect, and we're gonna get into the stuff it sets up with West Berlin and how important that movie gets into this overall arc of everything. But Skyfall does so much so well. It's shot by Roger Deakins, my personal favorite cinematographer. It's beautiful. Daniel Craig is so great in it. And moving on from that movie, though, I hold kind of a unpopular opinion on Spectre. I really, really like it. You can go ahead and say what you think of it really quick if you'd like to.
Yeah, I mean, I really liked it as well. I don't know. I'm trying to remember because it's like I just remember like some of like I think this is mostly the like the villain. I mean, a lot of it has to do with the villains though. When it came to the James Bond movies as well, where it's
Yeah.
just like if they were entertaining enough and like they can like carry their own section of that movie, right? And I just remember Spectre being that one aspect where it's just like I guess like not the hype around it. Like I don't like there's no hype. There wasn't no hype. Like I had no expectations for it kind of thing.
Hmm.
But it was just like the appeal of it didn't really get me. And so like whenever like when it came to that part, I was just more like, oh okay, like it was just a villain kind of thing. But like, other than that, like the movie itself was just like great when it came to, like the action and just like Daniel Craig playing that role again. So I really liked it a lot.
I personally love Blofeld, but I'm also I'm versed in some of the older James Bond material. I want to say over half of them. I can't claim I've seen every single one because I have not, but I've seen enough to have already like known who the character Blofeld was, which of course they do different stuff in Spectre with him. My reservation about Spectre has always been I've always been curious as to why the reception was the way it was towards that movie when it came out. Because if you look at it, it has 63% on Rotten Tomatoes is passing. That's true, but it's definitely a lot more mixed when you compare. Say, last time I checked, No Time to Die was at like 85. Skyfall is at 90 something.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and Quantum of Solace is even higher than Spectre is, which I really don't understand. And I think it. I've always sort of wondered if it was because Spectre leans so heavily back into the old school James Bond stuff. It still retains some of Daniel Craig's more serious and like dark aspects of his newer portrayal of it, but it does throw back to the old kind of Roger Moore era. Dave Batista plays this bad guy who says one word the entire time, and his character is that he's a big guy, and that's it. That's very reminiscent of the older James Bond movies where the side henchmen don't really necessarily do a whole lot except for fight James Bond at some point before they get to the main villain who just talks and explains their evil plan, which leading up into No Time to Die, I'll probably explain this before we really get into it. You can come up with the rankings off of the top of your head. I would say number one for me is Skyfall. Number two is Casino Royale. Number three is Spectre. Number four is Quantum of Solace. And No Time to Die, we'll get into where like that would probably place in a second. But what do you think?
I mean, I haven't seen Quantum of Solace yet, just because like what you said as well, where I'm like, how what people said about it. Like, I'm pretty
Right.
sure I'll watch it just because knowing that it's definitely like less than 2 hours. Then I'm like, okay, it's definitely like I can have time to watch it compared to like literally every other Daniel Craig movie here, where they're over 2 hours, but they don't even feel that way,
No, they
which is
don't.
like insane. But as of right now, shoot, like I don't know. Sometimes like whenever it came to Casino and like Skyfall, I can always flip them. But most of the time, I feel like I would watch Casino Royale like right away before I would watch Skyfall. So I would probably say Casino and then Skyfall,
Hmm.
and then I would say Spectre, and then whenever we say for No Time to.
Right, yeah, which I'm like dying to talk about. But a quick little aside before we get into that. Do you want to talk about the most ideal way to watch Spectre? I want to get into this really quick because we talk about this story all the time. We saw Spectre the Friday it came out, and at the time, Carl's Jr. was doing this promotion for one of the Call of Duty games with a
Yes, they correlate well.
with a burger called the Care Package
And then like, who's the production studio?
behind Call of Duty.
No, not Call of Duty.
Oh,
The Daniel Craig movies.
oh, MGM, or
MGM, yes.
Sony and MGM, yeah.
They both planned it together.
Oh
They're
no, they
like,
definitely
release
did.
Call of Duty burgers, and we'll release Spectre together.
James James Bond and Call of Duty go very well together. Actually,
Imagine they
it's
had
not
an
even a
ad
bad
where it
joke.
was just like the Carl's Jr. Like the Call of Duty thing in it. Now I'm curious what would like the James Bond character would say.
James Bond in Fortnite? Actually, did that happen? That might
No.
have happened.
Did that?
I don't know. Thanos is in
Uh,
Fortnite. Did you know that?
you said Venom?
No. Yes, actually, Venom too. Let there
Uh,
be carnage.
Venom 2 was okay.
It was fine. And basically, what happened is, of course, you're going to be like, yeah, let's go and get these burgers that are super spicy. They were awesome, by the way. Carl's Jr.
Yes, there were.
rocks,
Yes,
and then
that was amazing. Dude, their
Monster.
jalapeno poppers are insane. Now, oh my gosh,
I don't think I've
the
had. It's been a while.
jalapeno
I don't know.
poppers, they
Yeah,
were in
no,
the
I know.
burger.
Oh, okay, then I have.
Yes.
Yeah, that's such a good idea. Oh my god. But but naturally, we're sitting there in the theater, and you're like, I remember, I don't know if I leaned over to you, if I leaned over to Garrett, but I was definitely
Uh,
like, Garrett is a mutual friend of ours. I was like, are you, I don't think I'm okay. and and I had a, you sneak stuff into the movie theaters. Don't tell anybody. And
what?
I had a monster in my pocket, which I don't know how you fit that in there. Obviously, theater employees don't care. They're like, oh my God, that guy's packing. And
Back into monster.
it's a huge can, man. And drank it, and that just doesn't, that's not going to work. And so, your stomach's like sounding like it's boiling, like literally, because it's making all these groaning noises. And that movie's 2.5 hours long. So, and I pride myself in never going to the bathroom during a movie.
Yes, me too. I don't like doing that at
Yeah,
all.
pee beforehand, man. As much as you
Yeah,
can.
and make sure you go to the restroom. If you knew you were gonna eat a Carl's Jr. burger, make sure you go to the restroom beforehand as well,
Yeah, which,
or just wait.
or maybe just go after. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But
But that was a fun experience. You like testament to how much we enjoyed that movie that we never got up and were like felt miserable the whole time, but still
But honestly,
went through
like
it.
now though, it's just I don't think like either one of us would like leave a movie, even if it's like really bad, because then I feel like I would have to like know why I hate that movie
No,
in order for it to start to like finish.
I've definitely never walked out of a movie before. The closest I ever got was either, well, Geostorm. I just wanted to go to bed. Like I wanted to sleep after I saw that, but like I was falling asleep in the theater, but I didn't. And the other one was whichever Alvin and the Chipmunks movie came out when The Force Awakens came out. I think it was the Road Chip.
Oh my gosh, road trip.
Very prolific.
I was gonna say it's cool. I just like that title so much.
No, that's the second one.
I know it is, but like I just really like Squeakquel.
All right, getting into No Time to Die. Um, that was a extremely perfect transition. Uh,
Guys, just ignore Erwin, okay? Yes, he's just really fascinated with the word Squeakquel.
yeah, you can just repeat it over and over. Well, I talk. I loved this movie so much. I Everything about it worked for me, honestly. I was number one, I was sitting there and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm watching this. This is coming out. This is real. I'm not just watching this trailer in front of every other movie I watch throughout the year."
That's so true. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I those are my like extremely quick thoughts. I Before I let Erwin speak, I Daniel Craig, I love him so much as this character. He is such a phenomenal actor, and watching all of his movies back to back, I love his character arc. I love the fact that he brings this very specific type of emotion to James Bond that makes it really a lot weightier and giving him this added kind of character depth of reluctance and just this general I I'll stop talking. I loved everything about it. You can go ahead.
Finally, well, here's what I thought. I thought it was really good as well. I I honestly like I had the same feeling because I was thinking this before I went in. I was like dreading it because I think I was mostly dreading because of the fact of like just the time itself. Where I'm like, oh my god, this movie's almost 3 hours long, right? And I was just like, I guess I forgot like that feeling of being in a theater again, just because like I don't know. I'm just trying to get back into the habit of just going back to the theaters again because it's been so long of like seeing like a big movie, especially like a James Bond movie, in
Right.
theaters, and so like the moment like it started, I felt like I was just like in it again, and I was just like, oh my god, this is amazing.
Well,
And
sorry.
um,
I was gonna say, quick question. Before you saw Venom, when was the last time you went to a theater? Was
um,
it?
I think it was I saw Shang Chi, but like I guess it's just like I don't know, like right now it's been more like those big movies I've been watching. I want to go back into just watching like those other some other movies as well besides just big franchises.
Right. Yeah. Of course.
But I guess it's more like a week to week basis kind of thing because I used to do that a lot, and then like
Mm.
just try and get back into the habit again, which I really like. But like just with that movie itself, though, I was just like in it. Like the moment I first watched, like it first started, I was just like in it, and I was like, oh my god, like I'm not watching a trailer over and over again or like ads for it. It's just like I'm actually watching the movie,
No, I know.
which was insane. But I missed like Daniel Craig as James Bond. Like I forgot like how much like he I guess like because like a lot of actors and like they don't really show or like care about the character sometimes, but like you could tell he cares a lot about his this character and like how much like he goes like all the way with James Bond. And then it's also like the side characters as well. I always forget like in the movies like or in like in the this James Bond franchise that I'm like, oh yeah, like all these characters, like the side characters are like amazing as well. So that was like amazing. Um, Overall though, like I really enjoyed the film. Like the villain, I like the villain. Like Rami Malek, like he's a great actor, but I mean, like I think that's what like definitely like made me like really like enjoy like just him whenever he appeared on screen. But I guess like more whenever we get more in like to the spoiler aspect of it, though, I'll talk more about it. But overall, though, like the film itself, like I thought it was like great. Like it was just really good.
Right. Yeah. No. The moment Rami Malek shows up, I love him in this. I noticed this kind of habit that happens with the James Bond, Daniel Craig films in particular, and I think it might be more of a testament to the actors they get to portray the villains. I always feel like they're not in it a lot, but when they are extremely well utilized. Lashif in Casino Royale, I don't think is introduced until the second half. Same goes for Silva, Javier Bardem in
Hmm.
Skyfall. I don't believe he's introduced until the second half of the movies. Same goes for Spectre, which is kind of funny because obviously the James Bond movies, even the Daniel Craig ones that don't want exactly to follow the older ones, they still follow their own kind of formula. But that's totally fine. It's just it depends on what they do. And a typical habit that these movies like to have is they open with this extremely grand chase scene, and then the theme of the film plays, and then some of the bigger action scenes in the middle, and then the third act is always kind of really reserved for character on character action. Sometimes it's bigger, sometimes it's smaller, but it's always personal. And here, the opening in Rome, I believe, is so beautifully shot. This entire movie is beautifully shot. I looked up the cinematographer, and while I can't remember the name, which I feel bad for, it is the person who shoots all of Damien Chazelle's movies, like La La Land, and I
Oh
want to
wow,
say
nice.
Whiplash, but it's not Roger Deakins this time who shot Skyfall, and I'm blanking on who. Oh, Hoy Van Hoytema, I believe, did the DP on Spectre. His filmography includes like Interstellar and a lot of they kind of interchange between Christopher Nolan and Sam Mendes typically work with like the same sort of cinematographers, but
Hmm.
here it's that and there's this sequence in I feel bad because I can't remember where it takes place exactly, but it's in this forest and the fog around it is beautiful. The idea of the action being kind of covered up and you see it from James Bond's perspective is really smart and really cleverly done. And the opening, I love. We'd both been waiting to listen to Billie Eilish's theme. I loved it. Thought it was so
Yes,
great. Yes, yeah. And then I
Oh
finally
my
listened.
god,
I
it took
finally
forever.
did you like it?
Yeah, I mean, okay, I guess I don't know what I expected, but no, like yes, it was great. Like the song was amazing. Like her voice is amazing. But I don't know what I just thought it was so like I don't know. I just compare it to like other one. It's Skyfall is still my favorite one, no matter what. I guess.
No, I get that. It's just
So it's
because
this.
it's Adele, you know. But
Yeah, it's a no.
in terms of themes, though, I think like if I don't want to try and rank everything, but this might be like my second favorite one. Um, but I think a lot of if you're trying to compare, which I don't really want to do yet, my feelings
Hmm.
on this are equivalent to. I'm not gonna try and claim that this is number one or anything, but I do feel about it the way I felt about when I saw Skyfall and Casino Royale. I think it's up there with those three. I think it is just as good as those in terms of how I would kind of try and rank them. It doesn't really matter, does it? It's just sort of like interchangeable.
No,
But
yeah.
everything about this I thought works so well, and it has to do a lot. It has to be Daniel Craig's final movie. It has to, and this is a light spoiler, but it's in the trailer. It has to involve changing 007 to Lashana Lynch's character, which the way they handle that, I actually think is extremely smart.
Oh, yeah, I really like that.
Yeah, did you enjoy? Because there were a lot of things going into this that I was sort of curious. I was wondering how divisive are some of the choices in this film going to be. What did you
I
think?
mean, I guess yeah, I totally agree because it's just like I wanted to like how are they gonna handle like transitioning from like I guess like not it's not Bond to Bond, but like another double like who's gonna be the next 007, you know? And they say that really well though, like in the entire like whenever like the character what's her name again? Sorry.
Lashana Lynch is the actress. The
Yeah.
character's name I would need to look up.
But, like whenever like she popped up on screen though, it's like whenever like they mentioned 007, they did it like they handled it well and everything, just explaining not just like to one another with the characters, but like to the audience as well, like establishing like what 007 means,
Right, yeah,
which I
there's
really liked.
no that there's a whole sequence about
Hmm.
what do numbers mean in this franchise, which is
Yes.
kind of a commentary on this series alone, but I also thought was just smart in general. It's kind of one of those things where James Bond's been around long enough that you want to start deconstructing what makes James Bond work in the first place. It's why when Casino Royale came out, there were a bunch of rules for James Bond that were it's kind of insane when you think about it. Like Broccoli, the Albert R. Broccoli, the production, the people that own James Bond, you know, they they had these certain rules for Bond at the time that were like, oh, Bond always has to wear a tux. Bond has to he can't get dirty, which is like the older ones. And then Casino Royale has all these things that are basically like we are throwing that all out the window. He definitely wears a suit at one point in that movie, though. That's for sure. But
Hmm.
he is very violent in these, and I think we talked about how Spectre kind of leaned more into the old school Bond tropes. This one does that, but I think it does it in a better way.
I think it does it better. Yeah, I'd
Yeah,
say it does it a better way because I did notice also like a few certain scenes where I'm like that seemed kind of not cartoonish, but like just like more like the older James Bond
right.
films because I remember seeing scenes and like they're kind of like similar to it, but they do it in a way where it's just like it fits in well with their like with like the movie itself.
Like, there's something I really don't want to ruin, but there are jokes in this that are kind of one-liners after, like, you would expect it from James Bond, but you'd also expect it in like a current, I don't know, some movie that The Rock would be in, and he'd be like, haha, yeah, I'm The Rock. But Daniel
Oh
Craig,
yeah, wait, where's that from?
the Kool-Aid Man,
Oh, okay.
they're this, they're the same person.
Yeah, they're both big.
Did you listen to The Rock's his rap song?
I heard some verses, yes.
It was okay.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing he's got for him is just he's famous.
Yeah. The Rock can be a rapper. He said he rhymed defamation with desecration, I think, which is like
Yo,
that's like
that's those are big words.
if The Rock took an IQ test, he'd be like boulder sized intelligence. But no, if I don't want to like skip straight to scores yet, but Hans Zimmer did the score for this. Speaking of scores, which I was
Oh yeah, I
kind
saw
of
that too. And I
surprised
was like,
by.
oh nice.
Yeah, and he's doing Dune, which hyped out of my mind for. But
I hear Doom. I don't know why I keep hearing Doom.
Dune with an N.
Are they remaking Doom?
Dune,
Yeah, like the video game.
starring The Rock.
Gosh, I hope not. I mean, I wouldn't mind. I don't know how they'll bring it back. I mean, why would it matter if they connect it or not?
Well, Doom
They can
was
just they can do the whole Suicide Squad it, or
well,
like they can Suicide Squad it.
the Doom.
The Doom.
Well,
Yeah, just add
Doom was
the.
nothing like the game. No, it's fine. Um, no, but I loved Ana de Armas in this. I think it's not a flaw. It's really not. But she's not in this a lot. And
Oh yeah.
but her character is phenomenal in this. I think I don't know what they want to do after this. I really do think that they should let this movie kind of really settle its message in as Daniel Craig's final performance as this character, and that they shouldn't really tap back into James Bond for a while, just to really like let it resonate.
Oh yeah, I
But
agree.
if they want to bring any of these actors back, I love Lashana Lynch as 007. If they would do that, I think I would watch that movie. I don't know what they would call it. Maybe it wouldn't be James Bond. I'm not really sure what it would be. But what I'm saying is, if they want to set it back in this universe and bring back characters like Ana de Armas's, which it felt like they really wanted to, I'm really curious
Mhm.
because they give her a lot of personality for someone who's not in this a lot.
But I mean, I think that's whenever I was like saying, like the side characters in these movies are always so like interesting and fascinating. You know, like they have a story. Like everyone has like a story to say, but like they don't. Of course, like we don't know much about it,
Hmm.
but like we just like hear like certain details from it, and you're just like, oh, what is that? What does that mean? You know.
Right.
So I really like that.
I love Jeffrey Wright's Felix Leiter in this.
Oh my god, yes.
He's so great. He's in some of the other ones. He has brief appearances in the other ones, but here he gets a substantial role, and I'm really
Mhm.
happy he does because I was like, I love that character. He can join James Bond on his full adventure if he wants to. The James Bond movies are so good that I think it makes me wish that British people were real. So,
Yeah, I never met one, so like, how could it be real?
same goes for Ted Lasso. Like that's everything's fictional in the
Well,
UK.
no, Ted's real. Have you seen his voice?
Well, he's from
I've
Great
seen his
Britain.
voice. Oh my god. Have you heard his voice? You can't see voices.
um, I don't know. Everything's set in Harry Potter land, but it's all fictional over there. There's
I was making a
spies.
third one of Fantastic Beasts, right?
A third Harry Potter. I hope so.
No, I said Fantastic Beasts. Why are you laughing?
They are making a third Fantastic Beast, and I don't know how that'll turn
I
out.
still haven't seen the second one.
It was okay. Moving back onto this though, I can't say anymore. That I don't personally have anything negative to say about it. Do you?
Um, I don't really have anything like negative, I would say, but like my only thing was just like the villain itself. But I guess like I don't want to like I feel like I have to get into spoilers in order for me to like explain why I didn't like the villain as much.
Okay, we'll get
Or like
into
I
it.
wasn't like I was yeah like I wasn't like into it a lot. But other
Okay,
than that though, I really thought the like movie itself was like really good though.
yeah, we'll get into it in a second. I loved the villain in this quite a bit. I think Rami Malek's an
Oh,
excellent actor.
really?
Yes, really.
Hmm. Hmm.
to get into that, I get compared to that actor a lot, Rami Malek.
Yes.
Yeah, I do.
You know, honestly, whenever he appeared on screen, I was just like, damn, he just looks like Daniel.
My face looks
That's
exactly like him in
it's
this movie.
crazy.
My face is
It's
so
just
burned.
it's just the face structure is insane. And then I don't know. I don't remember how your hair is right now.
I talk
But like
this.
you had your hair at that one point, right?
I think I kind of do right now because I haven't gotten a haircut in a
Yeah.
while. Which
I was like, that's insane. Like your skin, both of your skins are like the exact same. Like even in the movie, you know how he has like a bunch of like scars.
That's what I was saying. I was like, my skin is so burned right now. You have no idea. I have been near so much fire. Really getting into my final thoughts, though, I want Erwin to give his score first. We are going out of 5 now at the moment. Erwin, if you were to give this out of 5, what would you give it?
I would give it a 4. 4 out of 5.
Okay. I really, really want to give this a 5 out of 5. So much so that I think I just will. But because I was kind of like, oh, I'm a little reserved about it. I might give it 4.5 out of 5 before we really wrap it up, just so I can like think about it some more. Because I was like, do I consider my favorite one? I'm not really sure yet because Spectre came out 6 years ago, believe it or not. And
wow,
I know it was ridiculous when I was looking at that the other day, and I texted you. I was like, this came out 6 years ago, and
God,
I was like, well, Skyfall I've obviously been able to think about for a really long time. It's nearly a decade old. Casino Royale is even older. And Daniel Craig's been this character for 15 years. So
were these movies like released spaciously or just like?
I think this one was done for a year and a half, but
Yes.
I think they really take their time with them, which I don't mind. I've always wondered why that these movies have always been considered a more prestigious kind of blockbuster. When I went to go see this, the crowd for it was much older than when I saw Venom. It was a lot of people that were in their 60s and 70s, it looked like. Same goes for whenever I saw Skyfall and Spectre. It was the exact same way. And
They were probably dead.
the people who saw Skyfall?
Yeah.
Well, if they are, rest in peace. I hope they get to see No Time to Die somehow.
Clearly, they did not have time.
They had all the time. They're dead.
They had all the time to die.
Yes, we got to make that joke now. I've heard that joke so much.
I love that joke.
Yeah, so you know, this is my first one I'm giving on here. I'm gonna definitively give this a 5 out of 5.
Ooh.
I'm sorry.
Dude, who said that?
I don't know.
No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
That was the other person in the room. Thank you so much for listening. Before we get into the spoiler section, I want to go ahead and say goodbye if you haven't seen this yet. And if you'd like to listen to us talk about spoilers, come back around to this. Thank you again so much for listening. I am Daniel Para. You can go ahead and follow me at Para323Para on Twitter. Give us a shout out. Let us know what you think. What did you think of No Time to Die? And Erwin, you can go ahead and say your piece.
About what? Oh, No Time to Die? We just had a whole discussion about it.
No, about your...
Oh. My Twitter handle is Erwin_Trejo, right? Because I think Daniel knows my username on Twitter better than I do.
That is Erwin Trejo, and his username is at Erwin_Trejo. Go ahead and follow him, and don't tell him what you think of No Time to Die. He doesn't deserve.
Don't tell me. Yeah, I don't even know.
He doesn't.
I've seen the movie. I don't need to know your opinion about it. I've seen the movie.
It's all right. If you have anything even a little bit different in terms of opinion on Erwin, you're wrong.
Let's not do this. I don't like to argue.
You're arguing. You're not arguing with anybody right now. But getting into spoilers, this is your final warning. James Bond dies.
Dang it. I wanted to say that.
You can go ahead if you want to.
James Bond dies. Han Solo dies, guys.
I wanted to say this earlier, man. I cried, like, pretty hard. I cried
Dude,
hard.
that was rough.
Like, because I feel like if you're going to say, I cried, then you're going to be like, oh, Mr. Bond Man dies then, huh? Mr. Jimothy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Timothy.
Jimothy Bondsman.
Oh,
Uh,
wait. I have something to say.
yeah,
The
what's up?
fact we mentioned about Timothy, right? Do you think like parents name their kid like what is it like Jim, right? They don't go just say Jimothy.
No. Well, Jim is short for James.
Okay, but like I'm saying, like, but
Is
wouldn't
it?
parents like name their like kid like Tim
Yeah, like
and not
Timothy.
Timothy,
Yeah.
right?
Or if you're Timothy Chalamet, your parents name you Timothy or Timothy.
I don't know.
Timothy.
It's like, yeah, I want my kid to be pretentious, so they shall be. I don't even know how to pronounce his name again.
Well,
Chalamet.
if you're French, then you're already pretentious. Those two go hand in hand.
Oh, I also didn't know he was gonna play Willy Wonka.
Oh yeah, I saw the first look today. I'm not like, well, the only reason why I'm kind of any sort of looking forward to that movie is because the person who directs the Paddington movies is directing it,
Oh
and I
wow,
was
yes,
like, okay, I think
that's like
that makes sense. Maybe it'll be something.
maybe. I just don't see him like having that like I don't know. We'll see though, because
Well,
I don't think I've ever seen like Chalamet like in that type of character.
I love him in Little Women,
Mm-hmm.
and that's about it so far. I've heard he's incredible in Dune. I haven't seen it yet myself. I'm very excited
Mm-hmm.
about it, but we'll see how he is in that because that's his first major blockbuster that he's going to be in. And
Oh, oh,
you saw Beautiful Boy. I didn't. I've heard he's really good in it,
oh yeah,
but
yeah. I mean, I think regardless, he's just a great actor, and that's what carried like that movie. Just the actors themselves, for sure.
yeah, which is
So,
what I've heard about it. I still will
mhm.
watch it at some point, but I do wonder if Willy Wonka will become the Joker or not by the end of it.
How would that work?
He's like
I don't get the joke.
the, because it's an origin story, and I think it's called Wonka. Like it's just called Wonka.
Or I wish I thought it was called chocolate. Or like they say it like that, chocolate,
Like the movie Chocolat
chocolate.
coming this summer. Wonka. Rated R.
Would Ben Stiller direct your trailers?
Ben Stiller?
Yeah,
Oh, because of
like,
Tropic
or he's like,
Thunder.
or his actor or whatever he played in
Tropic
Tropic
Thunder,
Thunder.
yeah. I was like, when Ben Stiller directs your movie,
I don't
it's like,
know.
what does
He
that
directs
mean?
movies.
He does, yeah, but like, what does that mean? What is Ben Stiller's style?
I don't know.
If you haven't seen The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, though, do. It's really good.
Yeah,
At least
I
I
want
think
to.
so, yeah. He's like,
Oh wait. Let's go back to No Time to Die
okay.
because I
What did you want to
okay. What
say?
was I
Yeah,
gonna
you
say?
had a thought, and then
Okay,
we'll
James
go
Bond
into.
dies.
Yeah, okay.
I cried.
No, I did too. I cried even before that. I didn't want to say, but like Felix Leiter dies in this, and I was really sad. And
I didn't cry.
I think I had because I since I since, jokes on you, man. I didn't.
I'm a man now.
You cried for some guy named Felix. You fucking idiot. Like, but I think the reason why I had is because I watched all of them back to back like 2 days before, so I was just like I was fully connected to just everything that was happening. So the opening whenever Leia Sedu's character Leia Sadu Madeline Swan is like, oh, I want you to forgive.
I mean, if she seduced me, then I wouldn't hesitate.
When Leia Sedu's character
Okay.
Madeline Swan tells him to visit Vesperlin's grave, I was like, honestly, I can't get enough of that specific thing still haunting Daniel Craig's James Bond.
Yes,
Just
I
because
really like that.
I think it's just because like it's really it's his motivating arc, and I think something that's so smart is in that movie, she betrays him, and it just affects his trust entirely for the rest of the franchise, which is brilliant. I think just because when you're first introduced to Daniel Craig's James Bond, he's kind of reckless. Well, he's extremely reckless. That's the point of Casino Royale. And by the time he gets to No Time to Die, the opening where he's like, I don't trust Madeline Swan, and he thinks that she betrays him and he lets her go, and then you sort of learn on later on in the movie that that's not what happened at all. I thought was a really smart choice, really reflective just of this character as a whole. And then the stuff with his kid, I thought was also really interesting because that's not something that they've ever done with James Bond, like him having a child, which all the stuff with him and Rami, or his child and Rami Malek, I found really interesting, and the conversation they have, because it's kind of funny how internalized a lot of James Bond tropes are just to movies in general, because James Bond's, like, you always hear a critique in movies is like, oh, that person acts like they were just a James Bond villain, but it always
Mhm.
works within the context of James Bond to me, and which is why I'm curious, what didn't work for you with the villain so much?
I think this is just like I didn't see. I guess with the other villains, when it came to uh to James Bond, I could see more of a connection to like Bond himself, right? And so with this villain, it was more connected to Madeline Swan, I
Right.
would say. Which I mean, there's nothing wrong. Like I understand so because like Madeline Swan and like James Bond were like together and everything, and so like I can understand why James Bond needed to defeat uh Rami Malek's character. But I guess like I just didn't find him very. I get like I just didn't find him. I don't know how to say it. Like I guess I just didn't find his like character to be so villainous. I guess I feel like it sounds like I want it to be cartoonish, but I don't.
Yeah.
Like it's just more like I guess it didn't really. I didn't feel like he like the villain himself was affecting Bond more to say like affecting Swan,
Yeah.
right?
I
And so like that's where I just didn't like connect very well with that. And so I was just like I feel like it's just a character like a villain that could be like any villain, you know, but of course it's like connected to like Swan's past and everything and how it still haunts her. So I really like Blowfield in this movie though. When they brought him back, just for,
Oh
like that, like I
yes.
liked him more for some reason. I just liked him more.
Christoph Waltz, and honestly a lot of every single person who's in these movies, they're all
Mhm.
such captivating actors. Ray Fiennes is great in this. It's funny because characters like that in other movies, the kind of like,
Mhm.
oh, I'm the person behind the desk in charge of you. Usually the scenes with them, you're kind of like, okay, we can move past this. But
Yeah.
when you have an actor like Ray Fiennes, I think he can make any material like that just so interesting, just because he's such a great actor. And I
Oh,
found,
Naomi Harris though. Whenever I saw her again, I was like, "Oh yeah, she's in these." And I'm
yeah,
like my last song, but before that though, I was just like, "Oh yeah, she was in Venom too." And so I was just like, "That's just like such a weird like transition."
no, I know. A mutual friend of ours, his name is Aaron. He before we saw this, the only one he'd seen is we were watching Spectre right before we went to go see this, which really greatly benefited, just because it really picks up kind of a couple minutes after Spectre, I believe,
Mhm.
and or honestly like a week after or something, and then it does the 5 year time gap thing. But
Classic.
no, I know I was like Avengers, but it
All I think about is Endgame.
no person who's only seen Avengers getting a lot of Avengers vibes from this.
I mean, they're about the same runtime.
No Time to Die is so much like Boss Baby.
Wait, was there an after credit scene?
No,
Okay, that would make sense.
no, I was
All right.
really I hope there wouldn't be either. Like
I
it's
mean, I
also
waited a little bit, but then I was just like, that doesn't make sense. Why would there be an after credit scene?
James Bond is just like, haha, jokes on you. This
I didn't
isn't
die
you.
somehow, even though I literally saw that missile land right in front of
The oh my god, the final scene, like with
him.
Daniel Craig, where he smiles, I found so
Mhm.
poetic. That's when I was
Oh my
like,
god, yes.
I thought it was beautiful, and then it was so great, and then he says, "I know," and then he dies. It's like,
Yes.
that's amazing. And then there was this other lady
Ah,
that was full on sobbing, like she was like crying so hard in the theater, and I was just like, like, oh yeah, so cool with the tears streaming down silently on my face. But going back to our friend had only seen Spectre, and he said it was pretty good. And walking into it, he was like, I just don't know if the kind of James Bond like goofy cheesiness is for me. He was like, I did like it though, And then coming out of No Time to Die, he was like, I don't know what the quality of the other ones are compared to this one, No Time to Die. He was like, but this one was so much better than Spectre, is what he said. And I was like, well, I love Spectre. I agree with you. It is a lot
Mhm.
better than that movie is. And I was like, no hate on that movie because I still really enjoy it. And I find a lot of things to like about it. And I still don't fully understand the reception that's as negative as it is towards it. But this one is just completely on another level for me, at least.
No, yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I feel like it definitely has like those moments like we talked about where it try to go like a little bit not like I guess like cartoonish in a sense.
Right.
At least like the old ones. I'm trying to remember which scenes.
There's a
'Cause
there's a scene where I think I know because like I kind of it's early on whenever they are jumping out of a elevator shaft, I believe, and the magnets stop them like mid gravity, or another sequence is this one that's like beautifully done in terms of action sequencing is when he's going up this staircase in the third act, but
yes.
there's this character that has this like robot eyeball, which is very
Oh yeah, that's probably one
old
too.
school, and then he blows it up, and there's this line I thought it was so funny, where
Yeah, I laughed.
yeah the he
No one else laughed.
what does he
I
say?
don't get
He's
it.
like, oh, it really blew his mind. You're like,
Yeah, it really blew
haha,
his mind. I was like,
high
nice.
five, James Bond. And then he did a kickflip with his
You did a
skateboard.
what?
He did a kickflip.
Do a barrel roll.
No, that's Inspector. They do a barrel roll in that movie. With a helicopter. I was like, is that this one? But yeah, I loved Rami Malek in this. He was much more, traditional James Bond villain in terms of. I actually really liked his connection to Madeline Swan just because I think that these movies have this element of romance that a lot of blockbusters, just in general, and even the older James Bond movies do. And some of them, they give him a love interest. Other times, they're kind of just like Bond girl, like I thought they were gonna do that with Ana de Armas in this, but they didn't, which I thought was really smart. They just gave her an extremely well done action scene, and
Yeah, it was really good. I would like on the artist.
I do too. That's why I was like, she's in one scene and it's about like 10 minutes long, and I wish she were in it more. But like, it's one of those things where you start to think about it, and you're like, it's a testament to how good an actor is when they're barely in something, and you're like, they were great in that.
No, yes, I agree. I'm trying to think. What else? I really like. I don't know how to pronounce her actress's name, but like Madeline Swan, just in this movie.
Yes.
I feel like I liked her. I think okay, I liked her a lot in Spectre, yes, but like this one for sure. Just like I don't know, like just showcase like more of like her like relationship with Bond, you know,
Yeah.
and it's just like and I really like I love that dynamic. And like whenever they first met again, and like after like years later, like I felt like I
Oh,
felt that
that
tension.
that
I was
scene,
like,
yes.
oh man,
No, I do think that they have this really tangible relationship with each other that
hmm
feels like, yes, I buy that completely. I totally believe that these two characters are in love with each other, and that James Bond, which is why I said I love the opening so much when he decides to. He's like, no, you betrayed me. And then, 5 years pass and they see each other again. I
hmm
agree with you. It really feels like this movie's I find that this movie benefits from its runtime. I don't think it's overlong. I
no, not at all. I did not feel like it was like I did not feel that runtime. Even with like that's the thing is like even like how much like I didn't really like I didn't really like the whole like villain as like parts of the movie. Like even then it was just like still like interesting to watch and just like Rami Malek still like he's such a great actor.
yeah.
So like whenever he did play like whenever he did like show up in the like his scenes and everything, I was just like I was still watching it. I was still interested. So like I never felt like that runtime at all. I went by fast.
No, and It's nearly 3 hours. It essentially is 3 hours. If you go there with the trailers and everything, you will be in there for a little over 3 hours. And the only time you can really tell is whenever you get up and you're like, oh, yep, my legs hurt. But no, other than that, I pretty much that so that sums up about all my thoughts on it. I want to see it again really bad, and
Yeah, I want to see that movie again.
it
I want
is.
to see Spectre again.
I think you should, uh,
Yeah,
like benefiting from watching all of them pretty much in a row right before,
yeah.
really helps. I obviously you should be able to judge a movie on its own merits, and even if I hadn't remembered what happened in Spectre, although I had,
Mhm.
I still think that this would have been great. It's a phenomenal send off for Daniel Craig. I think that if there were any other way to do this, there's really not. This is basically the perfect movie to send him off on. It's a real high note, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. Especially at the end though, whenever Swan's talking to like their daughter.
Yes, yeah.
That was good.
It's one of those types of, I think, a real credit to movies that work really well is whenever you think about whatever these characters are
Wait,
saying.
sorry. It just I don't know. I just saw that scene. Remember that one thing you sent me? I think it was today. Yeah, it was today. Where you're writing your English essay, and at the end of it, you go, "It
Oh
was a dream."
yeah.
I don't know why I'm thinking about that right now, but that one scene with let me tell you a story about James Bond,
Oh yeah.
and it
And
just ends.
and she's just like, so the opening of Casino Royale is is it is in black and white for artistic reasons, right?
Get out!
Get out of my car.
Get out of my car right now!
But yeah, no, overall, I love this movie. It's one of my favorite movies of the year so far. I really just liked everything about it. I don't have anything negative to say. You can go ahead and give your final thoughts now if you'd like.
No, I really thought that like this movie itself, like it was a great way to like send off like Daniel Craig as like James Bond. Oh, I also forgot to mention like the whole 007 thing. I really liked as well,
Oh yeah.
where like they kept mentioning that part, right? Where it's just like it's not she's James Bond, like she like James Bond isn't like James Bond and 007 don't like correlate, you know? Like of
Right.
course like we think that way, but like the movie itself, like I felt like it had like a good like way of like defining of like 007 can literally be anybody.
No, I liked that
Yeah,
aspect of
and
it
then like how
too.
James Bond is just its own character.
I think what made that work is the fact that Lashana Lynch's character and Daniel Craig as James Bond
Mm-hmm.
already had a really great chemistry with each other within the
Yes.
movie. That it really kind of earns making that choice.
Yes.
And making that choice anyway is kind of daring. Like, I know that the fan base for this probably isn't as rabid as, say, Star Wars or anything. Not to bring that up, like, literally every single time we ever do this. But
Star Wars.
whenever this first whenever Daniel Craig was first introduced, everyone had a problem with it, and the one of the reasons they had a problem with it is, oh, he's too blonde, oh, his eyes are too blue, which is insane. That's an that's an
Was it
insane.
because it was like also like his height, his like his the way you look? I mean, okay, I mean, yeah, but like his body type is like everything.
No,
Everyone's so like
it's
I
literally
don't know.
everything. Although, by the way, for his age, he's still jacked. There's a scene where
Yes. Oh my god. I was waiting for it too. I was like, is he gonna, are they gonna show him shortlist? I was like, I want to see it. I just want to know.
yeah,
I
and then
forgot. I always forget like he's old though. Like I always think like he's in his like either like early 40s if anything, right? But no, he's in his 50s.
oh, is he really? I just knew that he was
Yeah.
older. I knew he was up there in age. I always assume he's 40, like he's 40 something.
Yes.
It makes me wonder. He must have been like in his 30s in Casino Royale.
Yeah,
Or
probably. Like, probably his late 30s.
well, that's how time works, right? If he's like 30 something and 15 years go by, obviously you're gonna get older.
Hi, I'm Daniel, and I'm a math major now.
I am such a math major. You should listen to me talk about AP
listen to
calculus.
me, listen to me, and we're gonna talk about how to add right now.
If I were in charge of how math worked, the world would be solved.
This doesn't make sense. What? Oh, so what?
The world.
If you add hunger and food together, you,
Well, you know what? There's no
you
time.
just add hunger.
just eat.
Just eat food. I don't get it.
There's-
Just go to a grocery store, buy the food that you earned your money with.
You know what? If you want to steal too, though, that's fine. Grocery stores make.
There's also a
billions of
class you can
dollars.
take called ethics, so I don't know.
Ethnics.
I said ethics.
Sure.
Ethnic.
All right.
Overall, my thought is just I thought this movie was great. It was just a great movie with sending Daniel Craig as James Bond. So
I completely agree with you. Thank you guys so much for joining us. On the next episode, we'll be talking about Halloween Kills, a movie I'm personally really excited for. I'm a huge fan of the Halloween series. I love Jamie Lee Curtis, and I was a big fan of the 2018 movie.
me as well. I love that movie.
And we are going to wrap this up again by saying I am Daniel Para. You can follow me at Para323Para on Twitter. Let us know what you thought about No Time to Die or not. Erwin doesn't want to hear it, or maybe he does. He might have changed his mind by now. And Erwin, you can go ahead and give your final say.
My name is Erwin, and my username is Erwin_Trejo.
That is
Right?
That's it. Yeah.
Okay. I'm probably have to write that down and put it somewhere so that way I know.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening.
Bye.
We'll catch you next time. Goodbye.